For decades, he stayed silent. But now, Cliff Richard finally reveals the hidden story about Andy Gibb that no one ever told. For decades, Andy Gibb's life has been retold as a tragic rise and fall, a young heartthrob who burned bright, then vanished far too soon. But one man stayed silent until now. Cliff Richard, the British music icon whose career has spanned over 6 decades, has finally broken his silence about Andy. And what he said is as heartfelt as it is revealing. Want to support our channel? Join the Echo Insider. Just hover over the Echo Insider icon, click and watch new videos before anyone else. Imagine being born in the middle of a world at war in a faraway place like Lucknow, India in 1940. That was Cliff Richard, well, Harry Roger Webb at the time, born into chaos, a world trembling with uncertainty. His early years were uprooted when his family fled to England, leaving behind everything familiar. Picture a young boy landing in post-war Britain, streets still scarred by conflict, families trying to rebuild lives, and the haunting echoes of wartime losses everywhere. But something extraordinary was growing inside him. Amid the hardships, Cliff discovered music, not as a hobby, but as a lifeline. Piano keys and guitar strings became more than instruments. They were escape routes, places where a young boy could channel all his energy, dreams, and emotions. He wasn't just learning notes, he was crafting a voice that would one day speak to millions. Every school performance, every local competition wasn't just practice, it was a spark, a sign that something monumental was quietly forming in this boy from England. And then there was rock and roll. America's rebellious, electrifying sounds seeped across the ocean, and young Cliff was captivated. These weren't just catchy tunes. They were a movement, an attitude, a feeling he wanted to live and share. He soaked it in, every riff, every rhythm, every soulful note. Little did anyone know this immersion was setting the stage for a career that would not just ride the wave of history, it would shape it. By the late 1950s, Cliff Richard was no longer just a talented kid from post-war Britain. He was ready to explode onto the music scene. Alongside the Shadows, he was crafting something revolutionary, the British sound that would lay the foundation for a musical invasion sweeping the globe. And then came Move It, 1958, a song that didn't just hit the charts, it shook the very definition of British music. Imagine it, teenagers across the UK hearing a voice that was smooth yet magnetic, backed by guitar riffs that made hearts race and feet move. It wasn't just a hit, it was the birth of a phenomenon. From there, Cliff's career seemed almost unstoppable. He didn't just survive the cutthroat music industry, he thrived. Over 6 decades, he released over 70 albums and 130 singles, effortlessly moving between genres, rock, pop, gospel, musical theater, like a master painter switching brushes. Hits like Living Doll, Bachelor Boy, and We Don't Talk Anymore didn't just top charts. They became cultural touchstones, soundtracks to the lives of entire generations. And yet, it wasn't just the music that captured people's attention. It was Cliff himself. In a world where fame often meant scandal and chaos, he was the opposite. Charismatic, disciplined, humble, and almost impossibly charming. Fans didn't just love his songs, they admired the man behind them. His knighthood in 1995 wasn't just a ceremonial honor, it was recognition of a lifetime of artistry, integrity, and influence. Cliff Richard had become a living legend, someone whose story was as fascinating as his music, proving that talent, dedication, and heart could withstand the test of time. Think about this. Over 6 decades in one of the world's toughest industries, and Cliff Richard didn't just survive, he thrived. Over 70 albums, more than 130 singles, and a seemingly endless list of hits that didn't just chart, they defined eras. But what made Cliff truly remarkable wasn't just the numbers, it was his ability to reinvent himself without ever losing the essence of who he was. He could go from rock to pop, gospel to musical theater, and somehow make every genre feel unmistakably Cliff Richard. His songs like Living Doll or We Don't Talk Anymore weren't just catchy, they captured moments in time, the heartbeat of generations, and the emotional pulse of youth culture, and yet he never became a caricature of fame. Unlike many stars who burned bright and disappeared, Cliff maintained an almost impossible balance. Commercial success, artistic integrity, and a public persona that radiated warmth, humility, and charm. In a world where fame often equates to scandal, Cliff became a beacon of professionalism and decency, proving that you could achieve legendary status without compromising yourself. This longevity isn't just impressive, it's revolutionary. To remain relevant, respected, and adored across generations is rare. It speaks not only to his talent, but also to his dedication, resilience, and a deep understanding of the ever-shifting landscape of music. Cliff Richard didn't just make hits, he created a legacy that continues to inspire new artists and captivate fans decades after his first chart topper. Even as the music industry changed, Cliff never stopped pushing boundaries or paying homage to the roots that shaped him. In 2013, he released the fabulous Rock and Roll Songbook, a love letter to the artists who first ignited his passion: Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Buddy Holly. But this wasn't just nostalgia. Every track was a masterclass in performance, a bridge connecting the golden age of rock with today's audience. Imagine someone in their 70s channeling the raw energy of early rock and roll and making it feel alive, immediate, and thrilling again. That's exactly what Cliff did. Then came 2016's Just Fabulous Rock and Roll, which pushed boundaries even further. The album included a jaw-dropping virtual duet with Elvis on blue suede shoes, blending decades of music history into a single electrifying moment. Beyond the technical marvel, it symbolized something deeper. Cliff's lifelong admiration for his influences and his refusal to let age or time limit his artistry. He wasn't just revisiting classics, he was breathing new life into them, reminding the world why rock and roll was so transformative in the first place. What makes these albums even more extraordinary is the response. Despite competing with younger modern artists, both albums achieved high chart positions and gold certifications in the UK. Fans of all ages rediscovered Cliff, proving that true talent and true passion doesn't fade. Through these projects, he showed something rare. You can honor your past while staying relevant in the present, and you can inspire both nostalgia and excitement simultaneously. It's a reminder that music isn't just about hits, it's about heart, history, and the enduring power of performance. Andy Gibb, he was the youngest Bee Gees brother, and for a brief, dazzling moment, it seemed like the world belonged to him. In the late 1970s, he shot to stardom almost overnight. Teenagers swooned, fans lined up for tickets, and his charm, good looks, and velvety voice made him a bona fide heartthrob. But behind the glossy magazine covers and sold-out concerts, a different story was unfolding. Andy was just a teenager when fame found him, and it didn't let go. Success arrived like a tidal wave, fast, powerful, and impossible to control. One day he was a young man with dreams and innocence. The next he was thrust into an adult world of expectations, contracts, and public scrutiny. The pressures were relentless. The industry doesn't just demand talent, it demands perfection, resilience, and the ability to keep going even when your heart and body are screaming otherwise. And Andy, brilliant as he was, struggled. Personal battles, isolation, and the overwhelming weight of stardom began to take their toll. It's a story that echoes through the music industry, a reminder that fame, for all its glamour, often comes at a staggering cost. He had everything the world admired, but inside he was carrying burdens that few could understand. And that is exactly why Cliff Richard's words today carry so much weight, because they come from someone who truly knows what it's like to walk the same high-pressure, fast-moving path. By finally speaking about Andy Gibb, Cliff Richard not only pays tribute to a lost friend and colleague, but also reminds us of the pressures of fame, the fragility of life, and the enduring power of music. Andy may be gone, but his songs, his charm, and the memories he left behind continue to shine. And now, thanks to Cliff, his story has found its voice. Sometimes, the brightest stars burn the fastest, but their light never truly fades. If you enjoyed this story, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It really makes us smile. And if you're hungry for more fascinating tales, check out the 2 videos right below. You might just discover your next favorite story.